Chapter 001. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After 18 years, the system finally arrived. Did you hear? That Yang Sheng, the kid Elder Zhang brought back a few years ago, turned out to have a super rare fire spirit body. His cultivation speed is insane. Master Ziyang Peak took him on as a personal disciple, making him the youngest true disciple in the entire Tai Holy Land. Dude, who hasn't heard? That news is everywhere. Yeah, I'm jealous. What I wouldn't give to have that kind of talent. Two outer disciples, decked out in the latest robes, were chatting as they walked, not even trying to keep their voices down. Every word landed right in Su Chuan's ears. Huh? Yang Sheng. Fire spirit body. True disciple. Su Chuan, strolling along the path, was caught off guard by the news. He felt a pang of surprise, tinged with envy. After all these years in the outer sect, Su Chuan knew exactly what being a true disciple meant. It was the dream he'd chased his entire life, but a dream that felt impossibly distant. A true disciple. He couldn't help but sigh. He wasn't originally from this world. 18 years ago, back on Earth, he was a college student. He died trying to save a kid who'd fallen into a lake, getting tangled in weeds underwater. He thought that was it, but his soul somehow traveled to this world, and he was reborn. Thanks to his new parents here, he managed to get into the Tai Holy Land as an ordinary outer disciple. This world was called the Shantian continent. It was a vast place, divided into 5 regions: East, West, South, North, and Central. Each region was filled with countless sects and holy places, each vying for power. On top of that, there were martial arts dynasties ruling over the common people. Some warriors were so powerful they could reach for the stars and move planets. Here, the strong ruled, and the weak were just ants to be crushed. The eastern region, where Tai Holy Land was located, was especially brutal. After traveling through time, Su Chuan wasn't about to live an ordinary life. He wanted to soar to the top, become one of those admired powerhouses, but ideals were one thing, reality was another. He wasn't terrible, and he was good enough to enter Tai Holy Land, but without the resources to back it up, becoming a martial arts expert was an uphill battle. His parents had spent everything just getting him into the Holy Land, and couldn't afford to provide further training. He'd been in the Holy Land for almost 8 years. Now, for his daily practice, he was forced to rely on the meager resources the Holy Land gave to each outer disciple. After all this time, he'd only reached the 6th level of the body tempering realm. He'd hit his limit without better resources. Meanwhile, those disciples with family money and connections had left him in the dust. Some had even passed the outer sect exam and become inner sect disciples. The Holy Land had a rule: anyone who'd been a disciple for more than 8 years who hadn't passed the outer sect exam and been promoted to an inner sect disciple would be demoted to a handyman. He was 7 years and 11 months in. He only had 1 month left, and he was only at the 6th level of the body tempering realm. There was no way he'd pass. There were only a few ways to become an inner disciple. 1 was to pass the outer sect assessment. 2 was to possess exceptional talent and catch the eye of an inner sect elder. And 3 was to make major contributions to the Holy Land, exchanging merit points for the status of an inner sect disciple. None of those options were open to Su Chuan. Am I doomed to become a handyman? That despair washed over him. Handyman disciples were disciples in name only. They were basically servants doing all the dirty work. They got all the most dangerous jobs, too. It was a high-risk occupation, and you could die any day. He didn't want that life. His face fell, but he couldn't think of a solution. Even if he had resources, it would still take time to train. He couldn't expect to become strong enough to pass the exam in a year or 2, and he had no resources at all. He couldn't help but feel bitter. Other time travelers were either super talented or had some kind of cheat. Opportunities fell in their laps. Powerful mentors appeared out of nowhere. Why couldn't that happen to him? Unfair. Just as he was feeling sorry for himself, a voice echoed in his mind: system initializing. Congratulations, host. Script view system successfully bound. He froze, confused. Then, realization dawned, and his face lit up. A system. Was this his golden finger? He knew it. A time traveler couldn't be without a cheat. It was late, but it was here. He'd been waiting 18 years for this. Finally. He was beyond excited. With a system, maybe he wouldn't become a powerhouse right away, but it at least gave him hope of avoiding becoming a handyman. He just needed to figure out what it could do. After calming down a bit, he tried to access the system's functions. As soon as he focused his thoughts, lines of text appeared before his eyes. Name, Chuan. Realm, 6th level of body tempering realm. Talent, once in a lifetime. Fate, bad luck, white. Life script, background character. Opportunity, after being demoted to a handyman. You find a body tempering fluid recipe left behind by a predecessor while cleaning up an abandoned cave-in. The back mountains. Bad luck, you fail to enter the inner sect within the time limit and are demoted to a handyman. You're bullied by Sun Qian, an outer sect disciple, who steals your body tempering fluid recipe. Sun Qian uses his connections to get you assigned to cleaning monster excrement in the dangerous 10,000 Beasts Hall. During a monster riot, you're trampled to death. Death at age 20. Everything was laid out in plain sight, even abstract concepts like fate and opportunity were displayed by the system. As he expected, his talent was impressive. He was thrilled when he saw the opportunity section, but when he saw the fate and life script entries, his face fell. He had bad luck, white, and a background character script. Even from the descriptions alone, he knew this wasn't good. He was only going to live to 20 and die. And in such a humiliating way. This was awful. He'd never heard of a time traveler dying so quickly. Chapter 002. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Be ruthless and snatch every opportunity. Chuan already knew Sun Qian, the guy the system mentioned, coming from a martial arts family. Sun Qian always looked down on self-made warriors, especially talented civilians like Su Chuan. With his family's support, Sun Qian had already reached the 9th level of the body tempering realm, and he frequently bullied Su Chuan. They were constantly at each other's throats. Alright, Sun Qian. You try to screw me over, and you'll regret it. Su Chuan vowed. According to the system, after Su Chuan was demoted to a handyman, Sun Qian not only stole his body-tempering fluid recipe but also assigned him to collect dung in the 10,000 Beasts Hall, which led to Su Chuan's death by a monster. Seeing Sun Qian as the indirect cause of his death, Su Chuan immediately added him to his kill list. Where did Su Chuan's newfound confidence come from? From the system, of course. With the system on his side, Su Chuan was sure he could change his fate. Regaining his confidence, Su Chuan zeroed in on the opportunity the system mentioned. Opportunity, after being demoted, you'll clean an abandoned cave in the back mountain and find a body-tempering fluid recipe left behind. This body-tempering fluid was the real deal, a miracle potion for the body-tempering realm. Soaking in it could temper your physique, purify your body, clear your meridians, and speed up how fast you absorbed natural energy. It could even help warriors in the body-tempering realm level up. The major sects kept body-tempering fluid recipes under lock and key, out of reach for ordinary disciples. The fact that he had a chance to get one was incredible. Every drop of this stuff sold for an insane amount. Whenever it appeared, outer disciples fought tooth and nail for it. Su Chuan had been at the Holy Land for almost 8 years and never got his hands on any. How else would he still be stuck at the 6th level of the body-tempering realm with his skills? If Su Chuan could get this recipe, he was certain he could reach the Qi realm. He was sick and tired of being held back by the lack of resources. I have to get it ASAP. Su Chuan thought to himself. To turn things around, he had to grab this opportunity now. It was meant to be his anyway, so what was the harm in getting it early? If he got it now, he could use the recipe to become an inner disciple, a total no-brainer. The back mountain behind the outer gate was where disciples close to breaking through to the Qi receiving realm were assigned caves. The Holy Land had a ton of outer sect disciples, and a lot of them were at the 9th level of body tempering. But there were still more than enough caves in the back mountain. Because so many were available, plenty of them had been empty for ages. Only the handyman disciples who cleaned them ever went there. However, some handymen were lazy, leaving some caves untouched and abandoned. Every now and then, handymen would stumble upon stuff in these abandoned caves, nothing of great value, but still a nice bonus for them. Chuan never imagined his opportunity would be here, too. If he hadn't become a handyman, he probably never would have set foot here. As soon as he got to the abandoned cave area, he was overwhelmed. There were so many abandoned caves that he didn't even know where to start. The system didn't offer any hints. Chuan had no choice but to check them one by one. Luckily, he felt like he was on a lucky streak. Soon, he had a target. Past a patch of thick weeds, a stone cave came into view. Having been neglected for ages, most of the cave had collapsed. Chuan had a feeling that the body-tempering fluid recipe he was after was hidden in this crumbled cave. He carefully sifted through the rocks, leaving no stone unturned. After searching nearly every nook and cranny, a roll of silk caught his eye. It was buried under the cave floor, with just a few corners sticking out. If he hadn't been so thorough, he would have missed it. He carefully unrolled it to reveal a piece of unknown monster hide with the words body-tempering liquid written on it. Finally, Chuan breathed a sigh of relief as a weight lifted from his shoulders. Finding the recipe proved that the system was real. He really had a shot at changing his fate. Anyone else would have been jumping for joy, but Chuan quickly composed himself, stashed the hide with the recipe in his chest, and held it tight. Having lived through 2 lives, Chuan knew that someone with nothing was bound to attract jealousy. This recipe could easily sell for millions of low-grade yuan stones. It was like hitting the lottery. As an outer disciple, Chuan only got 10 low-grade yuan stones a month for cultivation, barely enough to get by. If he wanted more, he had to take on tasks from the Holy Land, but how could someone weak take on those dangerous jobs? In 8 years, Chuan had only saved about 50 low-grade yuan stones. Now that he had a recipe worth millions, he was the richest man in the outer sect. Of course, Chuan wasn't about to be foolish and sell the recipe. Not only would the news leak out and attract greedy eyes, but he might also lose his life. Now I can use this body-tempering fluid recipe to level up and take part in the outer sect assessment. Chuan thought. Then, he carefully put everything back the way it was. Once he was sure no one was around, he hurried away. Back in his cave, Chuan quickly activated the defenses. Then, he sat down on his bed and pulled out the recipe to study it closely. He had to make sure it was right because his future depended on it. After burning incense, Chuan finally put down the recipe. Just as I thought, the miracle potion of the body-tempering realm. It's truly amazing. Training in the body-tempering realm was mostly about strengthening your body. Combined with exercises, you slowly absorbed energy and toughened up, building a strong base for the chi-receiving realm, and body-tempering fluid was the best for this. Plus, the ingredients were cheap. Chuan did the math and realized that even with only 50 low-grade yuan stones, he could buy enough ingredients to make 5 batches. The profit margin was insane. A single batch of body-tempering fluid sold for at least 1,000 low-grade yuan stones. If people knew it only cost 10, they'd lose their minds. Chuan finally understood why they kept the recipe so secret. Without wasting any time, Chuan was ready to head to Fangshe and buy everything he needed. He carefully hid the recipe in a secret spot and left the cave. Chapter 003. You are listening at novelfull.audio. News about the 9th level of body tempering and a fragment of heaven level technique. When Chuan arrived in Shengdaifang City, he used his meager supply of yuan stones to buy materials. To keep his formula secret, he didn't get everything from one place. Instead, he visited several shops to gather the necessary ingredients. He even bought a few extra materials to throw people off the scent. Once he had everything, Chuan returned to his cave, set up a large pot, and began brewing his body-tempering liquid. This stuff wasn't just cheap to make, it was easy too. Even a 6th-level body-tempering warrior like Chuan could handle the process without much trouble. After half a day, Chuan gazed at the 5 bowls of thick liquid before him, a sense of accomplishment washing over him. Alright, let's do this. Time for a breakthrough. Taking a deep breath, Chuan poured the liquid into the cauldron and added warm water. The water instantly turned emerald green. Chuan stripped naked and climbed into the cauldron. It felt like he was being stewed alive. The moment he submerged, a wave of heat spread through his body. The potent medicinal effect mixed with vital energy began to cleanse him from the inside out. Chuan's skin turned fiery red, and steam billowed from his head like a boiled shrimp. he felt like ants were crawling all over him, like needles were piercing him, like knives were scraping his bone marrow, his skin itched uncontrollably, and he scratched until bloody trails appeared. Then, a layer of black filth oozed to the surface, releasing a nauseating stench. After a while, Chuan had absorbed all the medicinal properties, and the liquid in the pot became crystal clear. He snapped his eyes open, and a powerful light shone from within. He'd broken through to the 7th level of body tempering. Not only that, but Chuan also felt his meridians had widened, and the impurities in his body had been purged. His ability to absorb vital energy from the world had increased by over 10%. This is truly a miracle drug for the body tempering stage. The effects are unbelievable. Chuan grinned, pleased with the results. He focused on the remaining 4 portions of liquid, ready to absorb them all in one go. Half a month flew by. Inside the cave, Chuan was hooked on the powerful effects of the body tempering liquid, unable to pull himself away. Crack. A sound like popping popcorn erupted from his body, and his flushed skin gradually returned to its normal color. Then, a powerful surge of energy burst forth, stirring up dust in the cave. Ha! Chuan leapt out of bed and punched the air, creating a gust of wind. My strength has increased tenfold, reaching the limit of the body tempering stage. Is this the 9th level? Chuan clenched his fists, reveling in the power flowing through him. In just half a month, after consuming 4 portions of the liquid, he jumped from the 6th level to the peak of the 9th. The leap was extraordinary. Sure, Chuan had talent, but without the liquid, who knows how long it would have taken him to reach this point. Now, all I need is a qi-gathering technique to break through to the qi-gathering realm. Chuan thought to himself. Once he reached that realm, he'd be confident he could pass the outer sect examination and become an inner disciple of the Holy Land. But this qi-gathering technique was a problem. The Holy Land's Kung Fu Tower had plenty, but they all required merit points to acquire. Earning merit points meant completing tasks or making contributions to the Holy Land. For the wealthy disciples, it was easy. But for Chuan, it was a major obstacle. After years of training, he still didn't have enough merit to exchange for a qi-gathering technique. I need to find a way to get my hands on one. There was always a way. A glimmer of light appeared in Chuan's eyes. He knew a place. The Wanbaolu Chamber of Commerce. This Chamber of Commerce spanned the entire eastern region. Claiming to buy and sell anything, they had to have a qi-gathering technique he could use. And he still had a portion of the liquid he'd made, which he could trade for yuan stones to buy the technique. If he was careful, the risk of exposure was minimal. No time to waste, let's go. He cleaned off the black stains, got dressed, and prepared to head to the Wanbao building. The Chamber of Commerce wasn't in the Holy Land itself, but in Tai City, the most bustling city under the Holy Land's protection. After leaving the Holy Land's gates, it took Chuan a while to reach Tai City. He found a place to change into a black cloak he'd prepared, then headed straight for the Wanbao building. Stepping through the doors, Chuan was impressed. It truly was the largest chamber of commerce in the eastern region, incredibly prosperous. A dazzling array of goods was displayed in prominent spots, but Chuan kept his distance. Those items were protected by restrictions. Touching them could trigger the defenses and cause trouble. As Chuan looked around, a female voice spoke beside him. Welcome to Wanbaolu Chamber of Commerce. What are you looking to buy? Chuan turned to see a woman approaching with a professional smile. I'd like to sell something to your Chamber of Commerce. He carefully pulled the bottle containing the liquid from his chest and handed it to her. Sir, please wait a moment. Our appraisers are the best and will offer you a fair price. The woman took the bottle and smiled. As the largest chamber of commerce in the eastern region, they saw all kinds of customers every day. Chuan's appearance didn't faze her in the slightest. Chuan smiled. All right, I'll take a look around. The Wanbaolu Chamber of Commerce had an excellent reputation, or they wouldn't have been able to expand throughout the eastern region. The woman gave a polite nod and disappeared into the building with the bottle. After she left, Chuan browsed, searching for a technique that suited him. Suddenly, a richly dressed young man caught his eye. Chuan felt an inexplicable sense that this person had a great opportunity. To confirm his suspicion, Chuan used the system to scan him. All the young man's information appeared before him: name, Su Chen, realm, second level of the Qi realm, talent, all eyes are on you, fate number, child of luck, gold, turn misfortune into good fortune, purple, unstable state of mind, white, life script, the son of destiny's road to defeating monsters and leveling up, opportunity. While browsing the Wanbao building chamber of commerce, he discovers an incomplete technique. He buys it on a whim and discovers it's a fragment of a heaven-level technique. With this, he will walk the path to destiny. Child of luck, blessed by fortune, luck follows wherever he goes, turn danger into good fortune. When facing life-threatening situations, he can always find a glimmer of hope and escape, unstable state of mind. Despite being a child of luck, his state of mind is weak and easily broken, causing him to turn dark. He's actually a child of luck. Su Chuan was surprised. He didn't expect to run into one so soon. But this child of luck's cultivation was rather low, only at the second level of the Qi gathering realm. It's worth noting that there are 9 realms of martial arts in this world, from the body tempering realm to the emperor realm, Qi gathering, mortal transformation, magical power, nirvana, reincarnation, sky reaching, and heavenly king. The Qi gathering realm is only the second stage of martial arts practice. But none of that mattered. What caught Su Chuan's attention was the information in Su Chen's opportunity. According to the description, there was an incomplete heaven-level technique in the Chamber of Commerce, a heaven-level technique. Even if it was incomplete, it was something Su Chuan wouldn't normally have access to. To think that just checking things out on a whim would lead to such a huge discovery. Su Chuan's breathing quickened. Just as cultivation had realms, techniques had levels, from highest to lowest, divine, emperor, heaven, earth, xian, and yellow. The higher the level of the technique, the faster the cultivation speed and the more efficient the absorption of vital energy. Without the system, he would have only been able to afford a yellow-level technique. A fragment of a heaven-level technique. Even an incomplete one would sell for a fortune. Su Chuan marveled. I have to get it. At that moment, that was all that was on Su Chuan's mind. Chapter 004. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This is how to gain skills and practice the Xianyang art. Just then, the woman returned, holding the bottle Su Chuan had given her. Sir, the body quenching fluid you provided is of exceptional quality. Our Wanbao Tower appraiser valued it at 1,500 low-grade spirit stones. Does that price work for you? Su Chuan paused, then nodded. He'd figured he'd be lucky to get 1,100 spirit stones for it. The 1,500 stone valuation made him realize just how valuable the fluid was. Here are 1,500 low-grade spirit stones, sir. Please accept them. The woman handed Su Chuan a storage bag filled with his earnings. Su Chuan carefully took the bag. He'd never held so many stones before. For a moment, he felt like he'd struck gold. Then he snapped back to reality. Don't get a big head. Finding that heaven-level technique fragment was the priority, casually, Su Chuan asked the woman, where do you keep the techniques for sale here at Wanbao Tower? This way, sir. When Su Chuan asked about techniques, she led him to the second floor, which was dedicated to selling them. This is where Wanbao Tower sells its techniques. If you see one you want, use this token to bypass the restriction and take it. Then, you can go downstairs to pay. The woman respectfully handed Su Chuan a token and then left him to it. There were many customers, and she couldn't spend all her time serving just one. After taking the token, Su Chuan noticed Su Chen also coming up to the second floor. He started to get worried. Su Chen couldn't get the technique first. Su Chuan began quickly examining the techniques on display. Luoyun sword technique, low-grade yellow. Tiger stance, high-grade yellow. Xingyun art, low-grade profound. Time ticked by. Su Chuan grew more anxious. The Wanbao Chamber of Commerce lived up to its reputation. There were so many techniques here. Finding a fragment of a heaven-level technique among all these was going to be tough. This isn't working. If this goes on, Su Chen will snag it for sure. Su Chuan sped up his search. He focused on techniques that weren't graded or that no one else would likely choose. Even so, the search area was still massive. Just when he was about to give up, a book caught his eye. He froze, his eyes widening in surprise. Instinct told him this was it, a fragment of a heaven-level technique. The secret book looked extremely ordinary, even shabby. The cover was missing a corner, and even more was missing from the back. Its location was also well hidden. Most people wouldn't even notice it. If Chuan hadn't been so thorough, he might have missed it entirely. Xianyang art, extremely incomplete, with only the chi receiving stage method, grade undetermined. No wonder nobody bought it. If I didn't know the grade beforehand, there's no way I would. But the system says this is a fragment of a heaven-level technique. It can't be anything less. Whether I can perfectly advance to the chi-taking realm depends on this. Muttering to himself, Chuan quickly took out his token to open the restriction and grab the technique. Just then, Chuan arrived, reaching for the same skill. Seeing that Chuan had already taken it, he didn't say a word and turned to look at other techniques. Having secured the skill, Chuan didn't linger. After grabbing a martial art called Red Blood Sword Technique, Chuan went downstairs to pay. In the end, Chuan spent less than 500 low-grade spirit stones on the two techniques, with the Red Blood Sword Technique accounting for most of it. Back at the Holy Land, Chuan used his remaining spirit stones to rent a training room. These training rooms were special training areas for disciples in the Holy Land. They had large spirit gathering formations that drew in massive amounts of vitality, helping disciples practice. Entering the room required only a small fee. Chuan sat cross-legged in the training room and eagerly took out the Xianyang Ju. Xianyang art, when mastered, every move will be like the sun in person. At its peak, you can transform into the sun and command its power. Whoa! Chuan gasped, his eyes blazing with excitement. Even just reading the description, it felt incredibly powerful. It truly was a heaven-level technique. Even incomplete, it was still far stronger than any of those yellow-level skills out there. If I hadn't gotten here first, Chuan would have definitely snatched this skill, and given his fate as a chosen one. That it was easy to imagine that a top-tier fate combined with a top-tier skill would create a genius. Chuan might have even ascended to the position of Holy Sun in Tai Holy Land and become a candidate for Holy Lord, but that was all just hypothetical. Now, the opportunity belonged to Chuan. Chuan began practicing the technique. Boom. Chuan had barely practiced for a small cycle before a powerful aura erupted. A burning sensation flowed through his veins. He was surrounded by a sun-like aura, the scorching temperature seeming to want to ignite the surrounding vitality. Anyone with a low cultivation level who got too close might be burned to ash by the aura. As if in response to Chuan's thoughts, when he completed a full Great Jotian cycle, the aura around him grew even more terrifying. The extreme temperature made the space crackle. Fortunately, the Holy Land spared no expense in constructing these training rooms. Supposedly, even a reincarnation realm expert couldn't destroy them. Otherwise, the place would have been turned into a sea of fire. The next moment, Chuan spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura began to scatter. It truly was a heaven-level skill. Even so incomplete, it was quite challenging for Chuan to practice, and he was showing signs of losing control. Am I really going to let this go to waste? Give it to me. Chuan's eyes hardened. With those words, he accelerated his pace. The sun-like aura produced by the Xianyang Ju accelerated, turning into streaks of hot divine light that surged through Chuan's body. All of a sudden, the energy in his body was ignited and refined repeatedly by the fiery aura. His body was also being refined, as if it would burn him to cinders, but Chuan didn't give up, enduring the pain. At the same time, he continuously absorbed the vitality of the surrounding world, converting it into his own vitality and the sun-like aura to sustain the cycle. Chapter 005. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Perfectly break through the Naki realm and find new opportunities. 2 days later, Chuan was still in the training room, practicing the Xianyang Ju. All the energy in his body had been converted into the powerful Xianyang Ju energy, solidifying his martial arts foundation. He'd weathered the toughest part of mastering the technique through sheer grit. Now, he was practically knocking on the door of the Chi realm. Boom! That with the refinement of the last wisp of sun energy, Chuan completely mastered this incomplete heaven-level technique. His body began to transform dramatically. His bones and flesh grew stronger under the tempering power of the sun. Vitality surged from all directions, shattering the yuan stones on the floor. The yuan qi of heaven and earth flooded the training room, only to be sucked into Su Chuan's dantian. Luckily, he'd already removed all the yuan stones beforehand, or the training room's energy alone wouldn't have been enough. Behind Su Chuan, a dazzling sun shadow materialized. The phantom radiated intense solar heat, surrounded by a brilliant divine aura. He had officially crossed from the 9th level of body tempering into the Qi realm, but it was just the start. The benefits of burning his own yuan power became evident as he crossed into the Naqi realm. Su Chuan's cultivation rose rapidly. He soon advanced directly to the 2nd level of the Naqi realm. His energy stabilized completely, the aura around him gradually subsided. This is truly a heaven-level technique. Even this incomplete version, only going up to the Qi acceptance realm, took me from the 9th level of body tempering straight to the 2nd level of Qi acceptance. Thoughts raced through his mind. In just over 2 weeks, Su Chuan had soared from the 6th level of body tempering to the 2nd level of the Qi realm. Such rapid progress was almost unheard of. Only the most gifted geniuses could achieve such gains without damaging their foundation. He'd been struggling to avoid expulsion from the Holy Land just a few weeks ago. Now, he'd cultivated the Xianyang Ju and built a firm foundation. His path would be smooth, and he wouldn't spend years stuck in a single realm. Cultivation resources are crucial. Without those 2 opportunities, I wouldn't have reached the Qi absorption realm in this lifetime. The system's prediction would have come true, and I would have died young. Su Chuan couldn't help but sigh. The progress he'd made in just 2 weeks surpassed his 8 years of hard training. The change was unbelievable, even he felt like it wasn't real. Advancing to the Qi realm and passing the outer sect exam is a sure thing. No more worrying about getting kicked out of the Holy Land all the time. But the next outer sect exam is still over a week away. This is a good opportunity to go out and see what's out there. Major opportunities were scarce within the Tai Holy Land's outer sect, and the inner door wasn't an option for him yet. He was better off taking his chances outside the Holy Land. He could also practice the red blood sword technique. With a decision made, Su Chuan rose and left the training room. During his cultivation and training room rental, Su Chuan used all the 500 yuan stones he had. While the heavenly residual technique was powerful, it also consumed a terrifying amount of resources. If he didn't go out and find opportunities, he was afraid he wouldn't get resources to keep going. He'd be back to making slow progress due to a lack of cultivation resources. Returning to his residence, Su Chuan packed and headed out of the Holy Land Mountain Gate once more. His destination was Tai City. As a major human city, Tai City's daily traffic was massive, unlike the Holy Land disciples. Such an environment should have opportunities. Also, he'd left in such a hurry the last time that he didn't have time to explore Tai City. This time, he wanted to take it all in. It's easy to achieve nothing. Su Chuan was no longer as anxious as before. Outside the Tai Holy Land, in Tai City, a handsome young man strolled through the city, casually looking around. Tai City is the largest human city associated with the Holy Land. With so many warriors gathered here, there are all kinds of people. Su Chuan took his time, observing everyone. Most were ordinary people, with only minor opportunities that didn't interest him. These things were of no help to him at the 2nd level of Naqi, but his diligence paid off. After reviewing countless people, one caught his eye. Name, Lan Feng. Realm, 1st level of receiving Qi. Talent, very common. Fate, herbal boy, blue, bullying the weak and afraid of the strong. White. Life script, the boy who gives money. Opportunity, this morning, outside the city in Luofeng Valley, he discovered a 500-year-old Qingling grass on a stone platform. He gathered 5 friends to kill the guardian monster and harvest the Qingling grass. After selling it, he made 1,000 yuan stones. Su Chuan thought it was perfect timing. He'd been wondering how to get yuan stone. While the body quenching fluid was valuable, he couldn't sell it openly. Too many sales would attract attention. Su Chuan couldn't protect the recipe for body quenching fluid with his current cultivation. It could even lead to his death, so, he wanted to find another way to get yuan stones for cultivation. It seemed that someone would bring yuan stone right to his door. Su Chuan wasted no time, turning and heading towards Luofeng Valley. Luofeng Valley was a dangerous place outside Tai City, on the edge of the Luofeng mountain range. Steep mountains were covered in lush, old-growth forests. The area was home to a large number of monsters. Martial arts cultivators in Tai City hunted there for Yuan stone. Holy Land disciples also trained in the Luophong Mountains. Along the way, he easily dealt with body-tempering realm monsters. Thanks to his Naki realm cultivation and the blessing of Xianyang Ju, he could instantly kill monsters in the body-tempering realm. Su Chuan estimated that he could defeat a monster with the 3rd level of Qi. He might even be able to handle a 5th level demonic beast. Here we are. Su Chuan finally reached Luophong Valley. It was a valley filled with birds and flowers. A black cliff rose from the valley, and a waterfall cascaded down the cliff. Legend says that a phoenix landed here, giving Luophong Valley its name. Looking into the valley, he found a stone platform on a mountain wall, the only stone platform in Luophong Valley. The Qingling grass must be on that platform. I need to find a way up. Su Chuan watched for a while and was about to jump into the cave. Suddenly, he sensed danger. Chapter 006. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kill the centipede monster. Boom! Sensing danger, Su Chuan instinctively leaped back. A split second later, the spot where he'd been standing exploded, dirt flying everywhere as a black shape burst from the ground. A wave of putrid odor hit him. The stench made Su Chuan's head spin. Poison! His expression changed instantly. He sealed his mouth and nose with Yuan energy and scrambled away. Only then could Su Chuan make out what he was facing. A 7 or 8 foot long centipede-like beast, bristling with legs, glared at him. The toxic gas reeked from its bloody maw. If Su Chuan hadn't reacted in time, he might have been swallowed whole. The aura radiating from this monster was more intense than anything Su Chuan had encountered before. Its red eyes burned with murderous intent. One step closer from Su Chuan, and it would attack. At least a rank 3 demonic beast, maybe higher. Su Chuan carefully assessed it and realized the centipede's strength. His face turned grim. This wasn't some weakling from the outer regions of the body-tempering realm. This thing had actually reached the Naki realm. Despite the danger, Su Chuan wasn't scared. Instead, a fierce desire to fight ignited within him. He hadn't faced a real challenge since advancing to the Naki realm. This centipede was the perfect opportunity to test his limits, boost his confidence, and steel himself against fear. Weighing the risks and rewards, Su Chuan decided to fight the best. Defense is a good offense. Su Chuan braced himself and kicked off the ground, generating immense force. A hole formed in the ground. Using the momentum, Su Chuan shot toward the giant centipede like a rocket. Roar! Seeing Su Chuan charging, the centipede roared, transforming into a black blur as it lunged forward. A wave of poisonous air washed over him. Su Chuan didn't flinch, slamming his fist into the centipede's head. Bang! The man and beast collided with equal force, both thrown back. Su Chuan's fist felt like he'd punched solid iron. His arm throbbed from the impact. Peak rank 3 Naki, close to rank 4. No wonder it's so aggressive. Su Chuan thought, I bet this Qingling grass is the key to its breakthrough. After the exchange, Su Chuan understood the centipede's strength. The centipede monster reeled from Su Chuan's punch. Crack spiderwebbed its armored head, oozing green blood. The blood splattered on the nearby vegetation, which dissolved in puffs of white smoke. What a toxic creature! Even Su Chuan was shocked by the centipede's blood. He needed to be careful. Coming into contact with that stuff would be bad news. Su Chuan's attack enraged the beast, but the injury on its head made it wary of direct confrontation. It opened its jaws and spewed a mouthful of black mist toward Su Chuan. Su Chuan dodged, and the poison landed on the ground, eating out a small pit. Furious, the centipede kept blasting Su Chuan with toxic fumes. Su Chuan was forced to evade. The poisonous mist scarred the ground with dozens of holes. Seriously? Su Chuan frowned. This thing just kept spraying poison, leaving him no opening to retaliate. Finally, the centipede ran out of venom and could only hiss in frustration. It seemed to warn Su Chuan not to approach, or it would attack. Of course, Su Chuan wasn't buying it. Time to turn the tables. In a flash, Su Chuan closed the distance and landed a solid punch on the centipede's mandibles. Thousands of pounds of force exploded. Bang! The centipede's fangs snapped. Yao! The centipede howled in pain. Chuan pressed his advantage, wrapping his hands in yuan energy. He clenched his fists and plunged them through the centipede's armor. The centipede, enraged, tried to bite Chuan's head. Chuan ducked, grabbed the centipede's tail, and swung it against the stone walls. Stones crumbled, and dark green blood splattered. The centipede couldn't resist. Chuan continued to smash it against the wall. After dozens of impacts, Chuan was drenched in sweat. He stopped when he felt the centipede barely breathing. Knowing the monster was helpless, Chuan punched its head clean off. He dug out the demon elixir and tossed the carcass aside. He slumped onto a rock to rest. Even at the second level of Qi, fighting a higher-ranked opponent was draining. Plus, the beast's scales were tough, and its body highly poisonous, so he'd had to use a lot of energy to protect himself. Xianyang Ju provided a boost. An ordinary rank 2 Naki martial artist would be shredded. Chuan had a better understanding of his limits, and his confidence grew. He could probably take down a regular rank 3 Naki. He could even fight a rank 4. And against a rank 5, he could at least run away, but the fight revealed weaknesses. His attack options were limited. With a martial art or a weapon, the fight wouldn't have been so difficult. He needed to train. He'd bought a martial arts skill called Red Blood Sword Technique from Wanbao Tower. It was only a mid-grade yellow level, but it was better than fighting with his bare hands. Another gain was the demon elixir. Unlike body-tempering realm monsters, Qi-naking realm beasts formed demon pills in their bodies. This demon pill was their essence and was useful for cultivators. Martial artists couldn't directly absorb the demonic energy, but the elixir could be sold to shops that dealt in demon pills. A rank 3 Qi absorption elixir could probably fetch 300 yuan stones. The elixir could also be used to refine pills. For example, the main ingredient of Yuan Dan was a demonic beast's elixir. The higher the demon elixir, the better the effect of the yuan guiding elixir, Gu. Yuan Dan improved the efficiency of absorbing and refining yuan qi. It also strengthened the foundation. And the centipede scales could have been used to make armor. Unfortunately, the battle damaged them too badly. Chapter 007. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ignore the overgrown roach. Chuan zeroed in on the stone platform overhead. The massive centipede was the guardian beast for the Qingling grass the system mentioned. This was where the payout was this time, not a mega score, but still worth 1,000 low-grade yuan stones. For Chuan, who'd scraped by his whole life, that kind of money was solid gold. Without any other critters in the way, Chuan was on the stone platform in seconds. It was surprisingly clean up there. Not the monster latrine he'd expected. The stone slabs looked carved out by hand. A beam of sunlight shone on a small grass, emitting a faint white glow. This puny thing is worth 1,000 yuan stones. Chuan thought. He imagined a 500-year-old spiritual herb would have some kind of magical aura, but this Qingling grass didn't even have a medicinal scent, let alone magic. Its only real use was in medicine. 500-year-old Qingling grass made killer detox pills and refreshing pills. These were standard must-haves for adventurers. Qingling grass was so common, even a super old one only went for $1,000. Any other herb with qi or energy-restoring properties would be double the price. Still, something was better than nothing. All in all, the trip was worth the trouble. After double-checking for anything he might have missed, Chuan bounced, satisfied. Better not to run into anyone. Not that he was scared, just didn't want the hassle. Chuan was right. Not long after he left, a middle-aged dude, a level 1 Qi practitioner, showed up with 4 buddies of the same level. They were hunting the centipede for the spiritual grass, but they found a demolished battlefield and a dead centipede. Someone had beat them to the grass. They were pissed and wanted to run the thief down, but Chuan was long gone from the valley. They threw up their hands and cursed their bad luck. Meanwhile, Chuan was already clear of Luofeng Valley and headed into the Luofeng mountain range. In the thick woods, wolves howled, scattering leaves. "Eat dirt!" That a shout ripped through the air, followed by a monstrous roar, then silence. Chuan wiped blood from his hands and expertly gutted the wolf king. He skinned the beast and pulled out the demon pill. This wolf demon was a level 2 Naki realm, a tough customer, but Chuan wasted him. The deeper he went, the tougher the monsters got. Chuan dug the environment. His fighting skills were improving. He used to just brawl, like with the centipede. Now he was actually good. Plus, fighting like this juiced his ability to absorb the life force of the world. He could feel himself almost breaking through to level 3. Sweet. Chuan felt the surge of Yuan power in his body and was stoked with his progress. Less than a day out and he was already leveling up, way better than grinding in his room. He might even dominate the next external examination. With that thought, Chuan decided to head back to the Holy Land. The trip was a win. He'd scored a payday and gotten stronger. Good enough. Plus, the depths of the Luophone mountain range were way too strong for him. There were monsters there at the body-tempering realm and even the magical power realm. They'd paced him before he even knew what was happening. He was just leaving the Luophone mountains when he heard voices. Stop running and come back with us. You'll be rich and famous if you just say yes. What's the problem? Run any further and you'll hit the Luophone mountains. You won't survive out there. It was a creepy dude, and Chuan frowned. I'd rather die than give in to your Lin family. A woman's voice shouted. Your whole family is cursed. The voices were coming closer, right toward Chuan, some poor girl getting hassled. Chuan frowned and decided to ditch. Didn't want the drama. This world was a dog-eat-dog world, and nice guys finished last. Chuan was already jaded, but fate had other plans. Just as Chuan turned to leave, a woman crashed into his arms. He reflexively grabbed her waist. Damn. This was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, in both lives. The determined look on her face got to him. He was smitten, and then he checked her stats. He almost had a stroke. Name, Su Miaoyin. Realm, 5th level of body tempering realm. Talent, unmatched. Fate, Empress potential, gold, ice jade body, gold, protagonist aura, gold, deadly beauty, gold. Life script, rise of the good-for-nothing empress. Opportunity. The Lin family wiped out her family because of her special physique. They want to capture her and offer her to the young master of the Tianyan sect. She'd rather die than be a tool, so she's on the run in the Luophone mountains. She's about to find the Phoenix secret realm, inherit the Phoenix power, and awaken her ice jade body. Then she joins the Yaoqi Holy Land and becomes a saint. She soars and becomes the empress. Chuan was stunned. What the hell? He'd scanned a ton of people, and only Su Chen, the son of luck, had destiny higher than purple. Some people had none at all, but this? 4 golden destinies. The light was blinding. He clicked for more info. Empress potential, supreme roots, Phoenix inheritance, born leader, Phoenix aura. Ice jade body, legendary physique. Women with this physique are born martial arts geniuses. Nothing can stop them before they reach the Emperor Senior realm. But because it's so cold, it needs to be balanced with yang energy. Pure yang guys level up twice as fast with her. Protagonist aura, this person is blessed by the gods. Everything they do goes smoothly. They can turn disaster into success. You can get lucky just by being around them. Deadly beauty, men can't help but fall for her. Her beauty is a weapon. This was unreal. How could one person have so much? The system said Golden Destiny was the highest level. Even a regular person with Golden Destiny would be a big deal, but 4 of them in one person. A ridiculous destiny plus monster talents. How strong would she be? Chuan couldn't even imagine. Chapter 008. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wow, this woman's got serious talent. Chuan's feelings were mixed. Part of him was annoyed at the gap between them, but the opportunity tied to this woman? Forget about it. Just reading the intro, you knew it was big time. The Phoenix inheritance. Even if you didn't snag the inheritance itself, just hanging with this woman meant a boost of luck and a favor from the heavens, and let's not forget her ice muscle and jade bone physique. Becoming her Taoist partner. Talk about turbocharging your cultivation speed. His Xianyang Ju practice had morphed his physique into a great sun constitution, brimming with potent sun energy and yang vibes. Okay, not a super powerful physique, but precisely the pure yang mojo that ice muscle and jade bones craved. Looks like I gotta step in here. Chuan hadn't wanted to get involved, but after seeing this woman's details, he had to help, plus, entering the Phoenix secret realm. That was all her, gently supporting the beauty, Su Chuan said, "Don't worry, I got you." Then he put Su Miaoying behind him and faced the pursuers head-on. Seeing Su Chuan's strong back, Su Miaoying's face flushed. She was thrilled, figuring she'd stumbled on a good Samaritan and secretly celebrating her luck, but the next moment, she noticed Su Chuan's cultivation level, and her expression changed. "Sir, please, you gotta go. You can't win against them." That she looked at Su Chuan, worried sick. These chasers were all disciples from martial arts families, seriously tough guys. The young man in front of her couldn't possibly handle them. The pursuers caught up, spotting Su Chuan blocking Su Miaoying. They immediately yelled. "Who are you clowns? Don't mess with the Lin family's business. Get out of here, and we'll pretend we didn't see you. Otherwise, you'll be another dead body today." The Lin family disciples were loud, not giving Su Chuan a second thought. They could sense his cultivation, barely Naki level 2, the three of them were Naki level 3, martial arts experts through and through. Why sweat a Naki level 2 kid? What a joke. Su Chuan shook his head, pointed at Su Miaoying, and said, "I'm protecting this woman. You're not taking her today." Su Miaoying was stunned and confused by Su Chuan's actions. She didn't know why Su Chuan would help her, taking on 3 guys stronger than him with only Naki level 2, it was suicide, but, she had to admit, Su Chuan's move touched her. When you're in deep trouble, and someone steps up to help. That's the kind of thing that gets to you, but the last flicker of tenderness in her heart wouldn't let her watch Su Chuan die. "Young master, they're all Naki level 3. You can't beat them. Just leave me. They won't kill me." Su Miaoying spoke softly, trying to talk Su Chuan out of it. Su Chuan didn't budge. "Naki level 3. He'd taken down worse. You're begging for it. You had a chance to walk away, but no. Looks like you're dying here today." Seeing Su Chuan wasn't backing down, the Lin family kids stopped jawing. They raised their swords and charged at Su Chuan. The cold wind from the swords made Su Chuan's clothes rustle, but he didn't move an inch. "No." Not seeing the three about to stab Su Chuan, Su Miaoying couldn't watch anymore and cried out. Just when the sword tips were an inch from Su Chuan's heart, he moved, a mountain-shattering fist. A boxing technique Su Chuan had learned back in his body-quenching days, seemed ordinary, but with Su Chuan's raw strength and yen power, this punch was like a thunderclap from the ground. It shattered the incoming sword to bits, and he followed through without losing momentum. Boom! With a deafening crack, the Lin family disciple he hit flew backward. Su Chuan had punched a hole in his chest the size of a fist, his heart pulverized. He was dead before he could even scream. The other two froze, swords in hand. They looked dazed, like they'd seen a ghost. Naki level 3, instantly killed by a Naki level 2 with one punch. Were they dreaming? Even Su Miaoying was speechless. She'd thought Su Chuan would be lucky to survive 3-on-1, even injured. Instead, he was fine, and he dropped one of them. She was thrilled. The stronger Su Chuan was, the better her chances of getting out of this mess. She didn't know why he was helping, but as long as he wasn't with the Lin family, it was good. While they were still stunned, Su Chuan attacked again, no second chances. He'd already killed one, he was finishing the job. Otherwise, you take out the kids, and the old folks come after you. Another brutal punch. Bang! With a sickening thud, another Lin family member flew like a kite with a cut string. He hit the ground and vomited blood, twitching until he died. The last Lin family disciple, watching this, dropped his sword and went weak in the knees. 2 punches. Just 2. 2 Naki level 3 fighters, dropped. It was like nothing. The enemy was helpless. Don't kill me. I'm from the Lin family. If you kill me, the Lin family will hunt you down. The Lin family disciple was terrified, his legs jelly, threatening in a trembling voice, hoping Su Chuan would stop. He'd never seen anything like this. Where'd this kid come from? He skipped levels and just went berserk, hitting so hard that contact meant death. It was unreal. Su Chuan wasn't scared of his threats. He was taking out the trash, all of it. He believed in cutting off the snake's head. Another punch, and in the guy's disbelieving eyes, he punched right through him. Hiss! Su Miaoyin, who had seen it all, gasped, her face full of shock. She looked at Su Chuan like he was a monster. His performance was too outrageous. Su Miaoyin swore she'd never seen anyone so ruthless. He was efficient, no nonsense. 3 Lin family disciples, gone. She wondered, had she jumped out of the frying pan and into the fire? She looked at Su Chuan turning around, expression blank, like he hadn't just killed 3 Naki level 3 martial arts cultivators, but 3 flies. Seeing Su Chuan looking at her, Su Miaoyin went pale, swallowed nervously, forced a smile, and said, trembling, "Thank you, young master, for saving me." Chapter 009. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Su Miaoyin's awkwardness, Su Chuan decided to have some fun with her. "I saved you, so how about a little gratitude?" he drawled, eyes twinkling with mischief. Su Miaoyin recoiled, trembling. She was completely flustered. Seeing her so frightened, Su Chuan felt bad about teasing her. "Just kidding," he said. "You need to be more careful." Su Miaoyin was taken aback, suspicion creeping into her expression. Her face was still pale, but she was less terrified. "May I ask your name, so I can properly thank you?" "Su Chuan, from Tai Holy Land." "A disciple of the Holy Land, no wonder." Su Miaoyin seemed much calmer now, her doubts fading. He's from the Holy Land. His strength makes sense now. Tai Holy Land was a top sect in the eastern region, renowned and sought after. A Naki level 2 disciple was likely an inner disciple, explaining his ability to fight above his level. "Why were they trying to capture you?" Su Chuan asked. Now that she seemed less guarded, Su Miaoyin's face twisted with resentment and sorrow. "You don't understand. Those 3 were from the Zhonglin family. The Lin family is a powerful, corrupt clan in Tianyan City. No one dares cross them because one of them is about to become a true disciple of Tianyan sect. A month ago, they learned I might have ice muscle and jade bone. They wanted to use me as a vessel for the holy son of Tianyan sect. When my parents refused, they murdered my entire family. I only escaped because my father covered my retreat. They haven't stopped hunting me. If I hadn't met you, Mr. Su, I wouldn't have escaped." Su Chuan nodded. He'd gotten the gist from the system, but not in such detail. He didn't ask why she'd fled from Tianyan City to the Luofeng Mountains, but he could guess. She's after an opportunity here. He just didn't know where she got her information. But it didn't matter. As long as he stuck with her, he'd get into the Phoenix secret realm. Whether I can seize the opportunity is up to fate. He searched the Lin family disciples' bodies, finding a few dozen low-grade yuan stones and some healing elixirs. Seeing Su Qin's deathly pale face, he figured she was injured and gave her the elixirs. Su Miaoyin was deeply touched. After everything she'd been through, a simple act of kindness like that meant everything. "I can never repay your kindness, Mr. Su. But I know about a secret realm I can share with you." Here we go. Su Chuan's eyes lit up. "This is what I've been waiting for." Without Su Miaoyin, he had no way to find it. The Luofeng Mountains were too vast to search alone. And even if he found it, he'd need a key to get in, so, Su Miaoyin was the key. He'd been wondering how to get her to take him to the secret realm. Turns out, he didn't have to do anything. Su Chuan tamped down his excitement and pretended to be nonchalant. "Aren't you worried I'll ditch you once I know about the secret realm?" Su Miaoyin smiled and shook her head. "I trust you, Mr. Su. And I'm the only one who can open it." Su Chuan didn't know what to say. Was she naive or just plain dumb? Anyone else would hoard the secret realm for themselves. There was too much opportunity and treasure at stake. Only martial arts masters above the Tongtian realm can open up secret realms. Secret realms were usually created by powerful figures for future generations, filled with both danger and reward. Some strong cultivators would also create a secret realm as their final resting place, preserving their life's work. Ordinary people rarely got access. Most secret realms in the eastern region were controlled by major factions and families, not open to outsiders. That's why any newly discovered secret realm was cause for a bloodbath. My ancestors discovered this secret realm, but they couldn't enter because they weren't recognized by the key. Only the family heads of each generation knew about it. Before my father died, he told me that I was recognized by the key at birth. He told me to seek out the secret realm after escaping, and train until I was strong enough to protect myself before leaving. Tears streamed down Su Miaoyin's face as she thought of her parents. Her very existence had caused her family's destruction. Su Chuan didn't know how to comfort her. This was all the Lin family's fault. He felt awkward watching her cry. "Stop crying," he blurted. "Let's go find the secret realm. Once you're inside, you can avenge your parents. There are countless opportunities within. Even one will be enough to deal with the Lin family. The chance to destroy your enemies is right in front of you. You have to be strong. Let's go." He turned and started walking. Su Miaoyin stopped crying and stared at his retreating back, then hurried to catch up. They walked side by side through the dense forest. For some reason, looking at Su Chuan, she felt safe. It was a feeling she hadn't had since her family died. Maybe it was because he had saved her. Dusk was approaching. As the sun set, the Luofeng mountains glowed with golden light. After finding a cave, Su Chuan decided they'd rest for the night and search for the secret place tomorrow. Nighttime was the most dangerous time in the forest. Monsters and beasts roamed freely, and even Su Chuan couldn't guarantee their safety, especially with Su Miaoyin, whose cultivation was weak. As sunset approached, Su Chuan pulled out the red blood sword technique manual. He was going to do some training. The secret realm was full of opportunities and danger. An extra attack would help ensure their safety. Chapter 010. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Crisis, Guardian Stone Beast, Woe. Deep in the cave, Su Chuan was drilling the first level of the red blood sword technique. Since he didn't have a knife, he just used the swords he'd taken from those three guys. Streaks of crimson sword light flashed, like a raging river. This red blood sword technique has 3 levels. First, blood burning. Second, blood rage. Third, red blood. The first level is all about igniting your blood. The sword technique channels your energy and blood like a surging wave, relentless and leaving the opponent no room to breathe. Blood rage, the second level, is tougher and packs a bigger punch. When you swing, it's fueled by your body's boiling energy and blood, making it incredibly powerful. The third level, red blood, is a one-hit kill. You draw on your will to survive, pushing your blood and energy to the limit to deliver the ultimate blow. But after that, you're drained and vulnerable. Right now, Su Chuan was focused on mastering blood burning. After a night of practice, he had it down. The cave walls were scarred with sword marks, and broken rocks littered the ground, showing the beating they'd taken. As dawn approached, Su Chuan stopped and went to wake up Su Miaoyin deeper in the cave. He told her to find a quiet spot to rest so she wouldn't be disturbed. After a night's sleep, her color had returned, and she didn't look as pale as she had the day before. Once they were packed up, they headed out. According to her ancestors' clues, the secret realm was located in Luofeng Valley, where Su Chuan had found the Qingling grass. Under that distinctive black cliff, Su Chuan's face betrayed a bit of irony. Turns out, he was right back where he started. Life really throws you curveballs. Before long, they were back in Luofeng Valley. The centipede monster's body was gone, either eaten by other monsters or taken by someone. All that remained were the signs of the previous battle. At the edge of the waterfall, Su Chuan looked down. The black cliff made the water appear black, like a dark thunderbolt falling from the sky. Su Chuan grabbed a thick vine attached to the cliff and started climbing down. Su Miaoyin followed close behind. After descending several hundred feet, they finally reached a ledge. This platform jutted out from the cliff, looking like a long, black snake. At the end of the platform, a dark cave opened up. Looks like the secret realms in that cave. Su Chuan thought, if I hadn't intervened, those 3 warriors would have chased Su Miaoyin here, forcing her to jump. She probably would have landed on this platform and stumbled into the secret realm. He couldn't help but marvel at her protagonist aura. It defied logic. The opportunity was right there, and he was getting excited. An unexplored secret realm, who knew what treasures awaited? Su Chuan couldn't even imagine, but he remained cautious. Big rewards often come with big risks. He needed to be careful. He took out his fire seal and cautiously entered the cave. He turned and gestured for Su Miaoyin to stay close. The cave was narrow, barely wide enough for one person, but soon, it opened up into a spacious cavern. Suddenly, torches ignited automatically, bathing the cavern in light. The first thing Su Chuan saw was a massive stone door, standing tall, in front of it. Two bird-like stone beasts guarded the entrance, blocking the way. Their sharp claws and beaks looked capable of tearing through mountains. They were incredibly lifelike, as if they were about to attack. Su Chuan's eyes widened, and he started toward the stone gate, but before he could move, the cavern started to shake. Stalactites fell from the ceiling, and the torches flickered. The stone beasts were moving. They spread their wings, shook off the dust, and fixed their gaze on Su Chuan, as if ready to tear him to shreds. Su Chuan was stunned and quickly backed away. Then, the impossible happened. "Who goes there? Do you possess the key to the secret realm?" That the stone beast spoke. The stone statues were talking. Su Miaoyin, behind Su Chuan, was terrified. She had never seen anything like this before and forgot about the key she possessed. Seeing that neither of them answered, the stone beasts declared them intruders. Their eyes glowed red, and they let out a piercing shriek, wings beating, stirring up dust. They were about to attack. Su Chuan felt a wave of panic. The stone beasts were emitting an overwhelming aura, far beyond anything he could handle. With his second-level Naki strength, he couldn't put up a fight. He could only watch as the stone beasts' claws drew closer. Just as they were about to be torn apart, something changed. A blinding white light erupted from Su Miaoyin, surrounding them. The moment the stone beasts' claws touched the light, they froze in mid-air. Then, their eyes flashed red, as if they had recognized something. They returned to their original positions. Key to the secret realm detected. "Welcome, inheritor." The dust settled, and the stone beast's emotionless voice echoed through the cavern. The two of them breathed a sigh of relief. Su Chuan vowed to never face death like that again. This was a secret realm all right. He'd nearly died before even stepping inside. Su Miaoyin was trembling and gasping for air. As the white light faded, a bird-shaped key flew out of Su Miaoyin's body and toward the stone door. The moment the key touched the door, it opened with an invisible force. Once fully open, they could finally see the entrance to the secret realm. It was filled with towering trees and dense jungles, just like the forests outside, except the plants inside were a fiery red, and a wave of heat radiated outwards. Even the air felt charged, ready to explode. They had never seen another secret realm before, and all they could do was stare at its magic. "Let's go. Opportunity awaits." Su Chuan motioned for Su Miaoyin to follow him, and he headed toward the doorway. At this point, Su Chuan was buzzing with anticipation.